normally this is how people come up with ideas. They'll be working and they'll go like this. They'll scribble out their first, kind of the low-hanging fruit ideas. You know, the ones that are right there in front of them. They'll get all those. Those are sort of the easy targets. And then I'll see students, when I watch students come up with ideas, they're like this. No. No. And here's what they're doing wrong. They're thinking this is the important part of the process. This is not the important part of the process. Making those things visual, that's the important part of the process. Because and Rachel, let me say one thing. So I ended up changing some things as I was going through, and actually, if you figure out anything to add to these notes, please add it, because they were a little sparse. This is the mistake people make when they think about creativity. They think of creativity as being, you know, it's like something you draw out of your brain. You know, they think of it as an internal process that you pull out and you represent it. It's really not. Most creativity, most creative acts is finding things and then it's finding new juxtapositions. So it's not so much an internal process as an external, and here's the key word, it's a responsive process more than a creative process in the truest sense. It's not coming out of nowhere. Usually your best ideas, think about it. Think about when you come up with ideas. You don't come up with an idea and you just think, I'm going to combine a onesie and a tarantula. It doesn't come out of nowhere. You know, what happens is you see a onesie, and then you see a tarantula, and then you go, you know, I could, you know. So what I want to talk about this for a second, because where people screw up is they think, no, and they keep cutting the process off. By a responsive process, what I mean is, you have a dumb idea. Draw the dumb idea. And as you're drawing the dumb idea, watching the lines form on the page, you're going to think of something else. You're going to hallucinate and find something else. How many of you guys, actually I say that, all of you have had this experience. All of you. Not necessarily in a traditional creative sense, but like I'll often have, there's two people I like to talk to when I'm talking about developing class assignments and things like that, or when I'm working up a new class. I like talking to Alex Garcia, and I like talking to my mom. My mom's a former teacher. Now, neither one of them is an artist. Okay, so you think, well, how valuable could that be? What it is they know teaching, and they know they understand that process. And I'll often go, you know, so Alex, I was thinking for that new thing, or for the light and optics lecture we're doing, I was thinking I might do this and this and this, but I don't know how I'm going to do this unless I do this and this. Hey, I could do it this way. And Alex hasn't said a thing. You know, he's just been sitting there listening to me. And haven't you had that experience where you've got a problem of some type in your life, and you start explaining it to your friend, and you're halfway done explaining it when the solution occurs to you? That's responsive thought. You know, you're responding to something that's going on. That's how to come up with better ideas. Now, how do you find things to respond to? You have to figure out a way to generate them. And you can generate them if you're used to it. Once you get used to being creative, you can just take anything, okay, as a way of generating ideas. Now, I'm going to point something out here. So I'm going to ask you guys one by one. Oh, and I should say, so as you guys are working up your ideas for your specimen, most people get the initial ideas down, and then they sit there and they get stumped, and they get into a kind of log jam, where they are having a hard time coming up with a new idea. They end up with, I'll do a light bulb and a bird. How about a light bulb and a turtle? Dog and a light bulb, you know, and they end up with, okay, 30 light bulb ideas, and then 30 ideas about typewriters, and then 30 ideas. But did you notice how there were trends in your idea generation where you kept coming back to the same things? This is not good. Why isn't it good? Because it's not responsive. You're giving yourself the same stimuli. You see what I mean? Or half the stimuli is identical, so you have a certain limitation there. Now, just as an example, I'm going to call on you guys. I'm going to ask you guys to give me one of the objects you were playing with. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay.
Otter.
An otter? Okay. Wanted to make sure I heard that right. I had a friend who is a children's book creator, and a kid got pulled out of one of her presentations one day, and as he was because he was misbehaving, and she was about to start it. As he was being pulled out, he was screaming, "I want to see the famous otter! I want to see the famous otter!" Author. So every time I hear that word, I think of that. All right.
Tobacco pipe?
Pardon me?
Tobacco pipe?
Tobacco pipe. Okay. I thought you said,
Water?
I thought you said like troglodyte or something like that. Snowboard. Okay.
Seismograph.
Seismograph.
Machete?
Don't worry, we think you're normal.
Scarlet works. Saber-tooth skull?
A possum.
And one more. Okay, now I want to point something out. Do you see, even that list, because it didn't come from you, is delightfully random? Because no one of you has a list that interesting, probably, but the fact that it came from all of these different sources makes it a more interesting collection. Does that make sense? So that's the first thing, is random stimulation works to a certain extent because you're not predicting it. The problem with generating stimuli for creative projects is you tend to come back to logical things, okay? Things that you already logically understand. Where you're going to get your most interesting ideas is in your unexpected. Remember what Kessler was saying in that quote? Creativity is the discovery of unexpected logic. Okay? If it's expected logic, it's not going to be very interesting. All right, so we've got this delightfully weird group. Now, in the past, I haven't gone into this much, but I think it helped the morning class, and I think it's going to help you guys. I decided to say more about this last night. If I was working on ideas for this project, oh, by the way, you guys, this is called a matrix, like the movie. It's called a matrix. And so I decided to talk a little bit more about this, and if I'm actually doing this, I'm basically making lists. But you could do this different ways, and the way that I would use it for this particular project is in this way. Let's say I had, okay, I'm going to take the machete, I think. And I can take any of them. But actually, Rachel, take a number between 1 and 7. 3. Okay, snowboard. We'll go with snowboard. Snowboard or machete, we'll do both maybe. Okay. Actually, there is a problem with snowboard for this. I'm going to skip that because I just thought of something that would make it not work. Let's stick with the machete. Okay, you guys, now again, this is just for this project, but this is how I would use this technique for this project. Think of machetes. What is the defining characteristic of a machete? It's sharp. Yeah. So you're thinking, okay, sharp, it's a little frightening, or threatening. It's kind of bold. What are some other characteristics of it?
Sword-like.
Sword. It's basically a sword. It's what else? Any other characteristics you can think about?
Useful.
It's useful.
They always use it on.
Actually, it's dramatic. That's something. because it's, you know, when people use a machete, they don't go, they're going, you know, you're hacking through the jungle. Okay, so it's kind of violent.
Kind of.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it isn't, you know, guns don't kill people, you know. But it's a violent thing, kind of. It has that, you know, example. You know, so in the morning class, the example we had was porcupines. You know, prickly. That's what you think of. Yeah, there's all this other stuff, they're mammals, all that, but they're prickly. That's the whole point. Now, again, in terms of this project, what are some opposites to sharp or violent or threatening? What are some opposites? Soft. Okay, so soft, yeah, actually like Rachel mentioned, a sponge is about the opposite of a machete. It's almost a perfect opposite in a way. It's like, God, it's, you know,
Completely useless.
yeah, it's completely useless. Okay, what are some opposite things? So if a machete is threatening, give me a non-threatening thing. A baby.
I don't know about that screen.
That's true. But what else?
Corgi.
What? A corgi. Okay, let's do a corgi. Even they bark though.
They can try to be threatening, but they're not.
Yeah. Okay, other things. What are some things that are not useful or not bold? Candy bar. Okay, what else? What? Oh, perfect, a flower. Oh, yeah, or Jello. Okay, what else?
Yours isn't bold?
Mine are very useful.